Let us pray. On this day, gracious God, alive with hope and full of thanks, we ask your blessing on this group of young women and men that are about to begin their careers as officers in the United States Navy and the United States Marine Corps. Give them eyes to see so that they might see the suffering and oppression of your people throughout the world, but also that they might never lose sight of the wonders and beauty of life. Give them ears to hear so that they might hear the cries of the poor and the innocently imprisoned, but also that they might never be deaf to the songs of hope and joy. Give them minds to understand what they see and hear. Give them hearts to love themselves, their families and friends, and those who, even though they are strangers, need their love. Give them mouths to speak for those who are voiceless and to speak to those who need to hear tender words. Give them hands to work for a world of peace and for a world of justice, without which there can be no peace. And may God bless each of us here with the vision of Gandhi or Isaiah, the strength and courage of Michael the Archangel, and the self-knowledge of Augustine. Give us the love of Jesus and the courage of the Hebrew prophets. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. I am pleased to introduce the NROTC Villanova University Commanding Officer and Professor of Naval Science, Colonel Vincent J. Ciccoli.
Okay, awkward. How about a quick Pledge of Allegiance? What do you think about that? I'm serious. Let's stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Wow, you sounded good. That was awesome. Let's have our seats. Thank you. Sorry for that. We'll make up for it here, this special day. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. For those that can see me from behind the flags here, special welcome, of course, to the friends and family visiting from near and far to witness this tremendously important ceremony. Father Peter, thank you for being here, of course, and for your grace that we are here today in this venue and your enduring support here at Villanova. And to Rear Admiral Tamman, sir, your presence here today as our commissioning officer and a father is much appreciated and quite fittingly signals the passing of the reins to our next generation of naval leaders. To my staff, particularly Staff Sergeant Reyes, Lieutenant Brown, Lieutenant Douglas, Miss Carey, Miss Nikki, who put their heart and soul into making this day happen, thank you. My sincere gratitude also goes out to past NROTC leadership. I saw Ken DeTrue in the room back there, and our very own Jocelyn. Lieutenant Adia is back from Newport as well. And then we have plenty of Villanova faculty and leadership here. I know, Adele, you're back there with some other deans. Thank you for all who spent 4 years with this class developing them. And I can't forget, although I did see there's another photographer in the room, I told Olivia that I was really proud that she was here, so thank you for taking pictures and capturing this special occasion as well. To the families, I recently listened to a podcast about the happiness level of men and women in our country as it relates to having children. Depending on whether you focus on survey results from moms or dads, there are increasing indications of correlation between more kids and less happiness. Now, while I'm not a psychologist or behavioral economist, as a parent of very young kids myself, I can see where there may be times when the college acceptance letter or even the empty nest situation can't come soon enough. However, I'm just as certain there are infinite moments where you would agree there is no such thing as happiness without the son or daughter sitting up here today. Thank you for bringing them into this world, an unforgiving world that is ever changing, but one that I'm confident will be made better by their contributions, just as we experienced here at Villanova NROTC. And to be sure, as I've gotten to know many of you and all of the first-class midshipmen throughout the year, it became clear to me why this Wildcat Battalion consistently stands as a beacon of excellence at this great university. Parenting, from the Latin parentum, means to bring forth. And what you've brought forth is the interest, practice, purpose, and hope in the people you care for. So while you might have been guilty of saying what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, maybe just once or twice, it's more likely your children's early success was bred with a strong concoction of unconditional love and support, balanced with a healthy dose of uncompromising demand for high standards. You were consistent through hard times, but sensitive to their needs, and you delivered this kind of no-nonsense, supportive and demanding parenting until the day you left them on the doorstep of 800 East Lancaster Avenue. You modeled it, the community nurtured it, and they emulated it. Ultimately, we are here today because of their unselfish commitment and a blue-collar work ethic toward distant goals, because they demonstrate the same warm, respectful, and encouraging behavior that you valued, because of their unbridled enthusiasm and a deep belief in servant leadership. I could go on and on. Collectively, we are responsible for bringing forth the next generation, and they, you, sitting here around this altar in your majestic choker whites and dress blues, you are now as invested in this ecosystem of care as any one of us, the parents, the teachers, the coaches, the commanders. For now it is you, our soon-to-be newest ensigns and second lieutenants, that are most responsible for bringing forth the future. Good luck, warriors. I will stop there and give way to our guest of honor and commissioning officer, Rear Admiral Tamman, who is much better suited to inspire you all for the journey ahead. The Admiral graduated RPI in 1984 and went on to serve our great Navy as a nuclear submarine warfare officer. He commanded the USS Georgia and was Commodore of Submarine Squadron 19. His staff tours took him through OPNAV, the Joint Staff, and OSD. And as a flag officer, he served at the director level on the STRATCOM and CNO staff and also commanded Submarine Group 9, with his final assignment at Supreme Allied Command Transformation in Norfolk. Ladies and gentlemen, help me with a warm welcome for Rear Admiral John Tamman.
All right, so first things first, I'd like for all the midshipmen to just take a deep breath, relax, roll the shoulders. This day is all about you, right? So don't be stressed here. What I want you guys to do is enjoy the moment. You know, commissioning is something that's super, super important, and I want you to enjoy it, so relax. I want to see smiles on your faces, okay? So Admiral Carell, Colonel Ciccoli, Father Peter, parents, friends, classmates, and most importantly, commissioning seniors, welcome to today's commissioning ceremony. Colonel Ciccoli, thank you for providing me the opportunity to speak at this milestone event in their career. I am truly honored and humbled to be here today. I've officiated many of these ceremonies in my time in the Navy, but this is the first time I've had the opportunity to do it with a family member involved. So for those who didn't hear, Colonel Ciccoli, Erin Tamman, yes, is my daughter, and I'm happy to be here. But I will say it was very interesting. When Erin found out I was speaking today, she quickly volunteered to review my remarks. At first, I thought she just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be a long-winded blowhard. But then, I recall when I did the commissioning ceremony for RPI during your freshman year, I had used probably 6 or 7 Erin C. stories during my remarks. I think young Midshipman Tamman just wanted to make sure that I was not going to script any of that into my remarks. And I haven't, but I will improvise, right? Because that's what Marines do, right? And I would say one of my favorite Erin C. stories was back during your freshman year. You had just finished indoctrination training. So it was the first week of school, and pretty much every night for 3 or 4 nights in a row, I was getting a text from young Midshipman Tamman saying, "Dad, I need you to order this for me ASAP, right? So I ignored the fact it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I tried to swallow the fact that my young midshipman daughter was telling the two-star to do something ASAP. So after 3 or 4 days of this, I finally said, well, it's time to do that senior mentoring. So I called young midshipman Tamman up and I said, Aaron, admirals do not like to be told to do things ASAP. Now, to her credit, Aaron is a learning individual. 2 nights later, I did not get a text saying, Dad, I need you to order this for me ASAP. I got, Dad, I've got a short fuse tasker for you. And for those of you who've spent time in the Pentagon, that is the lingo of admirals. So again, thank you all for being here. But I'd like to start with some thanks. First, to the parents who raised these prospective ensigns and second lieutenants, again, instilling in them the desire to serve their nation. Second, to the faculty and staff of Villanova, not for just providing a superb education, but more significantly, shaping the moral character of these graduating seniors. And third, to the staff of Villanova NROTC unit for the training and mentoring over the last 4 years for these soon-to-become ensigns and second lieutenants. But most importantly, for the commissioning seniors, thank you for choosing to serve your nation. And I offer you my sincere congratulations. I'm sure when you started India Company 4 years ago, you probably thought this day could not come soon enough to make the staff sergeant or the gunny sergeant stop telling you what to do. That said, on behalf of the Department of the Navy, I welcome you all to the wardroom and to the profession of arms. In a few minutes, I'll lead you through the oath of office. As you know, commissioning was established in Article 2 of the Constitution and represents the fundamental democratic ideals our nation was founded upon. So it's ancient. It's as old as the country. You all leave here today with the authority and responsibility to lead sailors and Marines. You will inherit the legacy of a long line of Navy and Marine Corps officers who have literally risked everything to defend our freedoms. Today, you will swear to do the same. I have the utmost confidence that you will succeed. As a former submarine commanding officer and Commodore, I can tell you that Villanova officers have a superb reputation for excellence, and your future ships, squadrons, and battalions will welcome you when you get there. I would be remiss, though, if I did not mention that your leadership is even more important today than perhaps any time in our recent history. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has created probably the most dangerous global environment in your lifetime. As such, there can be no cracks in our armor. There can be no doubt in President Putin's mind that he cannot expand the conflict beyond the borders of Ukraine. There can be no doubt in President Xi's mind that today is not the day he wants to choose to invade Taiwan. Your generation will lead through these challenging times, and we're counting on your success. As I read Father Peter's 2021 President's Report, I was struck by some of his words. Specifically, Villanova attracts and forges world changers. No matter the year, no matter the circumstances, Villanovans ignite change, even when things are tough, especially when things are tough. And I can assure you, naval service will be tough. I'm reminded of a conversation I had with a young lieutenant after he finished his first sea tour, and he was interviewing with me for his follow-on shore tour. And I couldn't understand why he looked so unhappy. So I asked him point blank, I said, "Why are you so unhappy?" And he looked me directly in the eye and said, "I just never expected it would be this hard." And I asked him, I said, "Which part of operating a nuclear reactor, overseeing the D5 nuclear missile system, or perhaps navigating a submarine submerged to the Straits of Juan de Fuca did you think was going to be able to hit the Staples easy button?" Right? It's just not going to happen. And you can translate to any community that you're going to be in, whether it be driving a ship, driving a submarine, flying a plane, or leading the Marines into combat. So yes, it will be tough, but I offer 2 short pieces of advice to help with your transition. First, embrace the notion that you're serving your nation and not yourself. not a new or foreign concept for a Villanovan. I would offer, based on decades of personal experience, that those that don't grasp the fundamental nature of service before self will struggle with the cost-benefit analysis of naval service versus a civilian career. And you won't commit yourselves to be happy, and you'll miss your friends, your families, you'll miss those anniversaries and birthdays, but more importantly, and dread the thought, you'll miss that cell phone connection for months on end. The second piece of advice I'd offer is it's all about the people. Take care of your people, and they will take care of you. A very simple truth, but again, I can assure you, a very enduring truth. For those that know me, and this is kind of embarrassing, they know that I've only read one leadership book, and that's Colin Powell's 13 Rules of Leadership. There are several of his rules that will help you take care of your people. The first is share the credit. People need recognition. The converse is also true. Accept the blame when something goes badly. Analyze how it happened, make the necessary fixes, and move on. Colin Powell's second rule that I like is remain calm and be kind. It's easier said than done when things go sideways, but an essential requirement to gain the respect of your people as well as their buy-in. And the third is perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. Before you say it can't be done, think about what is needed to get it done, then focus on clearing the hurdles in your way. That is what a leader does. So again, some lofty advice I know, almost too simple to be useful, but I'll challenge you all to think about what I've said, particularly when it gets tough. And like I said, it will get tough. But on the flip side, I know you all have the tools to succeed. Literally hundreds and thousands of people have walked the path you're about to walk and have done well. You have the tools to do well. Again, I thank you all for coming here today and supporting the future leaders of the Navy and Marine Corps. And to the new ensigns and second lieutenants, go forth and lead, be bold, be thoughtful, and never compromise your values. May God bless you all and the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Rear Admiral Tamman. It is appropriate to discuss the commissioning warrant, the charge from the President of the United States to all those who would accept service as an officer in the armed services. The commissioning warrant dates from George Washington's service as the Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, when he was given the authority to commission officers as required during the Revolutionary War. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. I will now read the commissioning warrants. To all who shall see these presents greetings. Know ye that, reposing special trust and confidence in the patriotism, valor, fidelity, and abilities of these men and women, I do appoint him or her ensign, United States Navy, or second lieutenants, United States Marine Corps, to rank as such from the 13th day of May, 2022. This officer will therefore carefully and diligently discharge the duties of the office to which appointed by doing and performing all manner of things thereunto belonging. And I do strictly charge and require those officers and other personnel of lesser rank to render such obedience as is due an officer of this grade and position. And this officer is to observe and follow such orders and directions from time to time as may be given by the President of the United States of America or other superior officers acting in accordance with the laws of the United States of America. This commission is to continue in force during the pleasure of the President of the United States of America under the provisions of those public laws relating to officers of the armed forces of the United States of America and the component thereof in which this appointment is made. Done at the City of Washington, this 28th day of March in the year of our Lord, 2022, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 245th, by the President. Commissionees, please come forward for the oath of office. Ladies and gentlemen, the commissioning oath of office is the culmination of years of study, training, and dedication. Rear Admiral Tamman will administer the oath to the commissionees of the class of 2022. Post. Today, we recognize and celebrate the transition from college student to graduates and commissioned officers, a momentous occasion for our new officers and their families. Rear Admiral Tamman will present the new officers with their commissioning warrants while I read each new officer's names and duty stations. As each commissionee's name is called, I invite families and friends to please come forward to participate in the tradition of pinning on their new rank insignia. Please be seated. Please hold your applause until all officers have returned to their seats. Ensign Michael Almonte, U.S. Navy, submarine officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign Nicholas Anderson, U.S. Navy, surface warfare officer, USS Princeton, CG 59, San Diego, California. Ensign Ellen Banker, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Isabel Carlson, U.S. Navy, submarine officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign Peter Cashmere, U.S. Navy, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Officer, Navy Diving and Salvage Training Center, Panama City, Florida. Ensign Dylan Chang, U.S. Navy, Naval Flight Officer, Naval Aviator Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Matthew Clark, U.S. Navy Submarine Officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign Clark has been named the Chief of Naval Operation Distinguished Graduate. This award represents the top-ranked senior in the graduating class. Ensign Patrice Dewar, U.S. Navy, Surface Warfare Officer, USS Pinckney, DDG 91, San Diego, California. Ensign Jacqueline Doyle, U.S. Navy, Surface Warfare Officer, USS Curtis Wilbur, DDG 54, San Diego, California. Second Lieutenant Owen Galligan, U.S. Marine Corps, the Basic School, Quantico, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Robert Holmes, U.S. Marine Corps, the Basic School, Quantico, Virginia. Second Lieutenant Holmes has been named the 2022 USMC Honor Grad. This award represents the top-ranked senior who is a Marine option. Ensign Charles Johnson, U.S. Navy, Submarine Officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign James Kern, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign James Kester, U.S. Navy, USS Carter Hall, LST-50, Norfolk, Virginia. Ensign Emma Lovejoy, U.S. Navy, Navy Nurse Corps, USNS Comfort, TAH-20, Portsmouth, Virginia. Ensign George May, U.S. Navy, Submarine Officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Second Lieutenant Durkin McCarthy, U.S. Marine Corps, the Basic School, Quantico, Virginia. Ensign Matthew McKenna, U.S. Navy, Naval Flight Officer, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign John Molinari, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Matthew Mulhern, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Maria Perry, U.S. Navy, Submarine Officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign John Phelan, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Kaylee Radford, U.S. Navy, Navy Nurse Corps, Naval Medical Readiness Training Command, Portsmouth, Virginia. Ensign Christopher Roberto, U.S. Navy, Navy Surface Warfare Officer, USS New York, LPD 21, Norfolk, Virginia. Ensign William Seck, U.S. Navy, Naval Aviator, Naval Aviation Schools Command, Pensacola, Florida. Ensign Anna Sokolowski, U.S. Navy, Surface Warfare Officer, USS William P. Lawrence, DDG 110, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Ensign Jaron Stake, U.S. Navy, Surface Warfare Officer, USS Bunker Hill, CG-52, San Diego, California. Ensign Aaron Tamman, U.S. Navy, submarine officer, Naval Nuclear Power Training Center, Charleston, South Carolina. Ensign Paul Villa III, U.S. Navy, surface warfare officer. Please join me in a round of applause for these new officers. I am pleased to introduce Ensign Matthew Clark, recipient of the 2022 Chief of Naval Operations Distinguished Graduate Award for Villanova University.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming here today. I'd like to take a special moment to thank some important people, Colonel Ciccoli, Commander Conowall, and the active duty staff at Villanova, both past and present. Thank you for training and developing us in our time here at Villanova NROTC. Thank you to our parents, families, and friends for always being there for us, listening to us call home to complain about waking up early for PT at 5 a.m. Thank you, Father Peter, for the continued support we get from Villanova University. Now, when Ensign Anderson told me I was going to be speaking here today, I started thinking about what to say, and I had a really difficult time. I watched YouTube videos online of other commissioning speakers trying to get ideas, hoping I could get some good ideas, but I realized that those speakers had all lived through the experience they were speaking at, whereas I am living in the experience right now. So finally, with the help of my roommates, I had drafted up a rough speech. I had a quote, and we gained some insight from it. But we realized it was a pretty basic and generic speech, and if you know our class, you know we're anything but a basic and generic class, so the speech didn't really do justice to our class. Our time here at Villanova has been full of a lot of memorable events, all of which have helped shape us for a future career as Navy and Marine Corps officers. We started out as 40-something freshmen right out of high school at Fort Dix in New Jersey. From all over America, we had Ensign Johnson coming all the way from Hawaii, and we had Ensign May coming from behind the Villanova football stadium. Now we're down to 29 graduates composed of 9 aviators, 8 nukes, 6 surface warfare officers, 2 nurses, 3 Marines, and last but not least, 1 explosive ordnance disposal officer. When we started out, we barely knew each other's names, and unfortunately now we probably all know a little more about each other than we ever wanted to. We have midshipmen in all of the colleges here at Villanova and across many different majors, from the engineers like myself who seem smart to the business kids like Ensign Mulhern who are actually smart because they picked an easier major in college. This diversity, though, makes our class a melting pot of ideas and personalities, though, that really strengthens who we are as a class. A great example of this is our time in the Colonel's class this semester. So every Tuesday and Thursday morning, we would gather in the wardroom with the CO and Lieutenant Brown for a leadership and ethics class. And a big part of this class was the discussion about different case studies or historical events and how we can learn from them for our future careers. Now, the class was first thing in the morning, so it would have been easy for all of us just to try and sit there, be quiet, have no discussion, and get out of there as quick as we could. But we leveraged our different thought processes, beliefs, and ideas to have lively discussion on most mornings. And even if we actually all agreed the same thing, we had Ensign Kern to give us a historical monologue about something and spark discussion on something. From these discussions, I can say for the whole class that we all strengthened each other and we learned more than if we just sat there and agreed with one another. Another advantage of having such a dynamic class is that we became incredibly close, and this pays off when our class is going through a tough time. We went through a lot of ups and downs during our time at Villanova, but through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, we always had each other. Starting all the way back in India Company, we would start the day with a brutal PT or drill session, then have a full day of classes, and finally study hours in the evening. They were long days to be sure, but already our class was leaning on each other. Some of us would help each other shine shoes, iron uniforms, teach each other calculus or physics, and some of us taught Ensign Kester how to sleep in a bed without falling out of it. When we got sent home for COVID, nobody really knew what the future would hold for us. Ultimately, we ended up having a year and a half of online class, barely, if at all, seeing each other. It would have been easy for our class to split apart and go off in different groups, but we stayed in contact through group chats, Zooms, and when we were allowed, getting together in person. When we came back this year as seniors in charge of running the battalion, we worked together in ways we never had before. Now, the active duty staff may debate how well we actually did at running the battalion, but there's no debate on how much we trust and look out for each other in our day-to-day actions. A final great example of how close our class is through our many class bonding activities. One of the best was our senior class call sign night. So if you haven't heard already at this point, we gathered together in October and all assigned call signs to each other. The plan was for Ensign McKenna to get us custom coffee mugs that we could hang in the wardroom and use in those early morning CO classes. To no one's surprise, though, we actually didn't get those coffee mugs until the second to last week of class. My call sign, though, was chosen to be Gramps because apparently I'm an old man in how I act. So now I'll try and live up to my call sign and do my best to impart some sage and elderly wisdom on my class. The Navy and Marine Corps has some of the best technology and equipment of any military in history. But ultimately, this technology is useless without the people behind it. It doesn't matter if we're on a big ship or a small ship. The most important ship we can have is friendship. We have seen how great it is to have a close class while at Villanova. So when we get to the fleet, let's take the same attitude and foster the same trust and willingness to help one another amongst our sailors and Marines that we have here at Villanova. No matter where we go in our careers, spread out far from sunny San Diego to tropical Hawaii to Charleston, South Carolina, we have a lot to be proud of in our time at Villanova and a lot to look forward to in the future. We must not forget the bonds that we have formed here, and in this ever-connected world, we are all just a phone call away. So if anyone is struggling, reach out. So, class of 2022, I can't wait to see you all in the fleet and reminisce about our grand adventure here at Villanova. Thank you, and hoo-yah.
Thank you and congratulations, Ensign Clark. The class will now present Rear Admiral Tamman with a gift as a token of their appreciation. The Naval ROTC unit extends our special thanks to Father Peter Donahue and the university staff for celebrating the commissioning ceremony with us today. Most of all, we thank you, family and friends, for your selfless support of these newly commissioned officers. I ask everyone to stand for the final blessing and to remain standing until the official party has departed. Father Peter Donahue will now give the final blessing to our officers.